Welcome to my channel. This is good Tutor, and what I do here is solve technical drawing problems, and I also provide very important information that can help you to have a better performance in your technical drawing examinations. And if you are watching my video for the first time, please subscribe to this channel and like my videos and help me to share my videos with your friends who are also technical drawing or engineering drawing students. And as I said, that what I do here, I provide information that can help you to do well in your technical drawing examinations, most especially when it comes to objective questions. And right now, we want to talk about solids, as you can see on the screen. And we know that a solid has three dimensions. That is the length, the breadth, and the thickness, or the length, the breadth, and the height. So whether it is thickness or the height that is mentioned, all we know is that a solid has three dimensions: the length, the breadth, and the thickness or the height. So then let's look at the types of solids. And as you can see here, solids may be divided into two main groups. We have polyhedra, and then we have solids of revolution. Polyhedra and solids of revolution. Now let's talk about polyhedra. And I want to know that this particular video is focusing on polyhedra. Okay. Then another video we look at solids of revolution. But here we are looking at polyhedra. Now, polyhedra is a plural, and the singular of it is polyhedron. So that's why we have in definition that a polyhedron is a solid that is bounded by planes, and that planes are called faces. A polyhedron is a solid bounded by planes called faces. Now, one thing about a polyhedron is that it is bounded by planes, and those planes are called faces. And then when all the faces are equal and regular, that polyhedron is said to be a regular polyhedron. Just like we have what? We have a regular polygon in which all the sides are equal in length. Likewise, all the interior angles are equal in size. So when we talk about a regular polygon, all the sides are equal in length and all the angles are equal in size. So likewise, a polyhedron, when we say polyhedron is regular, it means all the faces are equal and regular. So let's take note of that. Then polyhedron or polyhedra are divided into seven. They are divided into seven. So we'll be looking at them one by one. And the first one that I want to talk about here is tetrahedron. Tetrahedron. So as you can see here, that for a tetrahedron, it has four equal faces, and each of the face or each of the faces is an equilateral triangle. Each of the faces is an equilateral triangle. Okay, so as you can see here, this is a tetrahedron. So we have this face to be a triangle. This face is also a triangle. We have another face on this side that's a triangle, and we have another face down here that's a triangle. And mind you, each of them is an equilateral triangle. So a tetrahedron has four equal faces, and each of the face is an equilateral triangle. So let's take note of that. Then the second one that we're talking about is a cube, or we call it hexahedron. A cube or hexahedron. So for a cube or hexahedron, it has six faces, and all the faces are equal in size, and each of them is a square. So as you can see here, this is a cube, or we call it hexahedron. So this face is a square, this face is a square, the top face is a square, this face on this side is a square, this face on this side is a square, and the down face also a square. So that makes it a hexahedron. It has six equal faces in which each of them is a square. Okay. Next one that we have here, we have octahedron. Octahedron. So octahedron, it has 8 equal equilateral triangles. 8 equal equilateral triangles as faces. So we have what? We have 8 equilateral triangles as faces here for octahedron. So we have what? We have on the upper part, if you look at it, we have what? We have down part and we have the upper part. On the upper part, we have 4 equilateral triangles, and on the down part, we have 4 equilateral triangles. So that means we have what? For an octahedron, it has 8 equal equilateral triangles as bases. So that's for octahedron. Then the next one we have dodecahedron. So for dodecahedron, it has 12 equal and regular pentagons as faces. 12 equal and regular pentagon as faces. That is for dodecahedron. The next one we have icosahedron. So in this case, for icosahedron, it has 20 faces, and all the faces are equal equilateral triangles. All the faces are equal equilateral triangles. That is for icosahedron. And do not forget that it has 20 faces, in which each of the face is an equilateral triangle. So let's take note of that. So next one we have prisms. So for prisms, as we have here, that prisms a prism is a polyhedron having 2 equal and similar faces that are called ends or bases, and they are parallel to each other, or each of them, and the other face, other face are parallelograms. So if you look at what we have here, so this is a triangular prism. Here we have a square prism. This is a pentagonal prism, and this is an hexagonal prism. So we name these prisms based on the shape of their ends, or their bases. When you look at this triangular prism, the upper face here is a triangle, and lower face is also a triangle. So that makes us to call it a triangular prism. So likewise, for a square prism, the upper end is a square and lower end is also a square. So that makes us to call it a square prism. So likewise, pentagonal prism and also hexagonal prism, each of them has its own shape, which we used to call it the ends. So for a pentagonal prism, it has a pentagon as its ends on both sides. So that makes us call it a pentagonal prism. And for hexagonal prism, it has an hexagon at its ends. That makes us to call it an hexagonal prism. So let's take note of that. But there's a note that I said here, that a right and regular prism has its axis perpendicular to the base. All its faces are equal rectangles. So what am I saying here? That the distance between, or a line drawn from the upper face to the lower face, we call it axis, as you can see here. So we also have it here. So we have it here too. We also have it here. So let's take note of that. And each of the remaining faces is a rectangle. So let's take note of that we name the prisms based on the shape of their cross section, or their bases, or their ends. So that is all about prisms. Now, the next one that we're talking about, we talk about pyramids. Now, when we talk about pyramids, a pyramid is a polyhedron having a plane figure as a base and a number of triangles, triangular faces meeting at a point that is called vertex or apex. Now, look at what we have here. So this is a triangular pyramid, and the shape, we use the shape of the base to name them. It's the shape of the base that we use to name them. So for this triangular pyramid, it has a triangular base. It has a triangular base. So that's why we call it triangular pyramid. And do not forget that it also has an axis, and this point at which other faces meet, we call it apex, or we call it vertex. Okay. Then for this one, we have a square. It has a square base. So we call it square base pyramid, because the shape of the base is a square. So it has what? It has 4 equal triangular faces, 4 equal triangular faces, which meet at this point that is called apex, or we call it vertex. Then pentagonal pyramid, it has a pentagon as its base. Then it has 5 equal triangular faces. Okay. Then when we talk about hexagonal pyramid, it has an hexagon as its base and has 6 triangular faces. It has 6 triangular faces. Then there is a note that I said there that a right and regular pyramid has its axis perpendicular to the base, which is a regular plane figure. So what we are talking about here is that these pyramids that you see here, they are all right pyramid, in the sense that the axis is perpendicular, it's at the right angle to the base. That's why we call it a right pyramid. Then we also have oblique prisms, and we also have oblique pyramids. And in that case, the axis is at an angle, to the base. So we call it, for an oblique prism or oblique pyramid, the axis is at an angle to the base. So let's take note of that. Then we also have prisms and pyramids are named according to the shape of their bases, which I've explained here. So we name the prisms and also the pyramid based on the shape of their ends or their base. So these are the information that I have for you on this part of solids. Let's meet on that of solid of revolution. Don't forget, what we talk about here is about polyhedra, and we have named them one by one, and I've explained how they are named and what we see on each of them, how we name them. So I've explained everything here. So let's take note of that. Thank you, and God bless you.